All right, guys. This is another episode of the Recruiting Board. I'm here with 2025 three-star linebacker Luke Metz of Mill Creek High School, right outside the Atlanta area. And Mill Creek's actually one of the top programs in the state, Georgia. They played 7A football, which is the top flight of high school football in Georgia, and they play guys like Buford and Valdosta and people like that. So he plays in a he plays some pretty good talent out there in the Peach State. So Luke, how you been doing so far?
I'm doing great. Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, and you had a pretty big day today because obviously Oklahoma just came through with the offer. So how you feel about that?
I'm real excited. That's a big one for me for sure.
hmm Yeah, and you just released your top six, and your top six includes LSU, Duke, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri, and of course Oklahoma. I'm gonna pull that up for you guys in just a second, where you guys can see it. And was this? How did you make this list? Like, what intrigued you about? What intrigued you about each of these schools?
Um, Definitely playing style, like where they see me fitting in the defense. Definitely the level of competition that the teams play at. I want to play in the SEC, and Duke's an exception because my relationship with the coaches is just unbelievable there. So it's definitely been busy, but it's been good for sure.
hmm Yeah, and Duke just had some new coaching hires, of course. Obviously Mike Elko left for A&M, and they so now you have to have a new coaching staff. I know they're recruiting you. The old coaching staff was recruiting you beforehand, but what intrigued you about the new coaching staff coming in?
Yep. The old staff offered me, and then I went to the Clemson game last year, and so they're already pretty special to me. And
Mhm.
then Coach Packey and Coach Diaz came in, and their whole staff, and really just made me a top priority and made me feel super special and made me feel really needed and not wanted. Like they needed me, and you know they needed me to be a big keystone in their class of 2025. So that was made me feel special for sure.
Manny Diaz is one of the top defensive coaches around.
Hmm.
Going from Simon's defense coordinator at multiple different places, including Texas and Miami, of course. But he also is a head coach. He's also now become a head coach. So, what has your relationship been like with Manny Diaz, and how does he plan to use you? Because I know he's been making your top priority, but how does he plan to use you?
Hmm. Yeah. My relationship with Coach Diaz is special. I've been on FaceTime with him almost every week for I can't even countless weeks. Coach Packey, Coach Bowers, and they see me at the Mike position, but they don't want to keep me in a mold. They want to keep me versatile, and they want to let me drop back in coverage and blitz, and still do everything. And they really just want to base the defense off of me. Let me decide. Be that key factor in the defense and just build around me. And that's kind of why I was saying they're making me feel so special. So.
hmm Yeah, and kind of going off more, moving on to your top six. You obviously have LSU.
Mhm.
I know Blake Baker, who's the new defensive coordinator at LSU. He was recruiting at Missouri. What has your relationship been like with him over the course of your recruitment?
Yeah, well, it's definitely been great. He's a great guy. He came over to the school and then offered me when he was at Missouri. And then, I'd say he was recruiting me kind of hard there, but then, he decided he was going to go over to LSU, and he offered me, and now it's just been recruiting me like super hard, a lot harder than at LSU than Missouri. And, I definitely like him as a person, and that's why LSU is on my list. So
hmm have you got? By the way, I just want to mention this before we move on. But have you gotten a chance to visit some of these schools?
yes, sir. I visited Duke probably like 4 times now. I'm going to LSU on the 7th, March 7th, and then I'm going to Ole Miss on the March 23rd. And then Georgia. They're not on my. They haven't offered me yet, but I'm going there March 16th. So
It won't be long before they offer you, dog. Yeah, but moving on to Ole Miss, obviously Ole Miss has been making a lot of noise and recruiting. Lane Kiffin's, been an excellent promoter of that program. Ole Miss hasn't really been a national brand like it has been before. And obviously they've had success on the football field, but under Lane, they just become a national brand. A lot of that is through his Twitter, of course, but he's done a great job of trying to bring in talent to Oxford. So, what has appealed you about Ole Miss?
Definitely SEC and definitely Lane Kiffin, Pete Golding. I just feel like those guys, like they're like me, like they're just regular humans. They want to go duck hunting. Like that's just so cool to me. And they're like really relatable people, but they also win in the SEC. And they've got a ton of coaching experience. And they were saying, they could have. Lane Kiffin could have went over to Alabama, but he chose to stay at Ole Miss because why would you leave something that special? So it's definitely an awesome place with them being SEC too, and the facilities top notch. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss has really revved up their facilities as of late. They put a lot of money into the program and NIL and stuff like that. But yeah, moving on to the other two schools. First starting off with Missouri, of course. I know Blake Baker was your main recruiter at Missouri, and then now I think they hired a new defensive coordinator. They've actually, I think, have a whole new defensive staff, really. So, like, what has your relationship been like with Missouri so far throughout the recruiting process? I know that you got obviously Blake Baker's gone, but what has your relationship been like with the new staff they brought in?
Yeah, the new staff, they've been great. Also Coach Smith, he came down to school, and when Coach Baker was there, they recruited me a little bit, but ever since he's left, I feel like they did another evaluation on my film, and ever since then they've just been blowing me up. Like it's crazy, how hard they recruit me right now, and I really like them. And my teammate Trajan Greco last year, he's at Missouri now, so that's definitely big, and that's why they're in my top 6 also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also going on to Tennessee. Of course, Tennessee is also another school that is in your top 6.
Mm-hmm.
What has intrigued you about Tennessee, and and what has your relationship been like with the coaching staff over there as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tennessee appeals to me because it's like almost a national brand, like Tennessee football. Like I'll be walking around the campus there, and it's like, yeah, I play football at Tennessee. So it's definitely got some bragging rights playing football at Tennessee. The fan base is incredible. The atmosphere, it's a lot easier putting in all the hard work and playing SEC ball when you're playing in front of a big crowd like that. And Coach Hugh Paul and their whole staff is really just real relationships. I feel like SEC now it's real transactional. With all the money, all the NIL, and all this stuff, and they've made it kind of genuine. And I really like that for sure.
Have you gotten a chance to visit Tennessee?
I'm going up spring. It's only I was going to go last spring or last month. Last month, yeah. And then they got like 11 inches of snow, so they had to cancel their junior day. They got some crazy amount of snow, so they had to cancel their junior day. And then I had some other visits planned, so it's only a 3.5-hour drive, so it'll be easy to make it up there.
Yeah, it's also the kind of the short distance from home. Also very appealing about Tennessee as well.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Have Knoxville is really beautiful too, by the way. Like the stadium's actually right on the river. I think you've probably seen people kayaking like right outside the stadium. It's a pretty neat place.
Mm-hmm.
But also I know they're not in your top 6 because they haven't offered you yet. But Georgia, what has been your relationship like with Coach Smart? And is that kind of your dream school to play for? Because I know you're from Georgia, of course, and I think that's pretty much everybody's dream to play for Georgia.
Yep, for sure. It's definitely a dream. Coach Smart and Coach Schumann came in and watched me work out in the morning, and then Coach Smart flew in later in the day at school and met me and talked to me, and it's special how much he actually texts me, and I'm gonna visit obviously, and I think there's definitely something that to explore there, and it's a hometown. Like, you'd get, everybody wants to get offer from Georgia that's in Georgia, even out of state, Georgia's like, that's a big deal. So excited to go up there and visit, and Coach Schumann's been a real pleasure to talk to. The way he's genuine and real, and the way he talks ball, and even if they weren't one of my top schools or didn't offer me yet, or even if I was a nobody, or like just a random person that likes football, I'd always I'd want to talk ball with the Georgia coaches. So that's just special in itself, for sure.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, kind of going on to some more personal stuff, of course, about your attributes and stuff like that. But I want to get started off with, you go to Mill Creek High School. You guys won the state championship, I believe, 2 years ago. And what has been your experience like playing for Mill Creek? Because I know the school itself hadn't been founded until 2004, which is like 2 years before you were born. So it's a relatively new school. So what's the experience been like playing at school like Mill Creek?
Yeah, it's been great. Great for sure. I feel like that's, why I'm kind of successful now, because of, the coaches that surround me. It's a great program. I've lived here all my life. So I was a ball boy at Mill Creek when I was little. And, we won state, and that was the first time ever winning state. And, I got to start with Caleb Downs and Jamal Anderson, Clemson linebacker, and Notre Dame, Cole Mullins, Trajan Greco, all these guys. And it's just like, wow, it's crazy. I'll be playing Caleb on NCAA soon. Like, it's just crazy how how much of a powerhouse it is for good talent. So, it's like the success rate of Mill Creek players in college is just unbelievable. We don't have as many guys going to these big Power 5 D1 colleges like say Buford or somewhere like that, but anybody who comes out is going to be a solid player.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, all the players you just mentioned, not many high schools could produce talent like that year in and year out. I mean, even if you compare yourself to Buford, I mean, Georgia itself,
it's crazy.
Georgia's a lot like, because I'm from Louisiana, and Louisiana is very similar, where like per capita, I think like Louisiana has like the 5th or 6th most like NFL players in the country, and that's behind like states with much bigger populations. But like Georgia is one of the states where there's just talent after talent to talent. So I mean, you can make a comparison. Oh well, we don't have as many players as Buford. Like, I mean, to have 6 or 7 guys you just mentioned playing college football right now, it's incredible. But I was going to ask you about, speaking of Caleb Downs, I actually was about to ask you about Caleb. What is your relationship like with him, and what advice has he given you?
Yep, Caleb is he's always been, he took me under his wing a little bit, and helped me grow and become the person I am kind of today, the player. He's always been kind of giving me advice and giving me a little snippets here and there, about recruiting, and take your time, and don't rush anything, and then when it feels right, and that's when you pull the trigger. And just the way he works and the work ethic, and he's a leader, but he's more of a leader by example than telling you something and then he doesn't even follow through with it. So there's a reason why he's so successful in college, and he's always been like that. So I'm not, nobody's surprised at all over here at Mill Creek.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, when you see him play, I mean, he's like, okay, this guy's the best safety in college football, and it wasn't even close. As a freshman,
true freshman, it's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, exactly. And speaking, kind of going to some more personal stuff, of course, and obviously we just talked about your high school and obviously your former teammate Caleb Downs. What areas have you improved on
Mhm.
over the course of your football career, and then what else do you think you still need to improve on?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've improved on my footwork, not taking a false step, when the ball snaps. Um, Block destruction is definitely something that I've got better at and I could also work on too. Because, I want to, five of my teams on, my top six are SEC schools, and the linemen are going to be bigger, faster, stronger than, high school ball. So block destruction is definitely something that I could work on, and I feel like any linebacker could work on. And definitely just guarding my strengths, but also getting better at certain things is going to be big for me, and playing early in college too.
Hmm. Yeah. And what do you think kind of separates you from the rest of the pack that play your position?
hmm I'm bigger. I'm 6'3", 220, and I can add a lot of weight to that frame, and I'm big too, but I feel like I can, I've got speed to compete with any linebacker. I play with a lot of I play aggressive. I play mad. I play with a lot of confidence too. So it really helps me out on the field too. I'm man to man with a slot receiver, and they're picking on me, and then they try to pick on me for a quarter, then they won't throw to that my side all game, and I'm 6'3", 220. Like just little things like that, like confidence, playing mad, playing till the whistle blows, and I'm more of like a finisher linebacker than just a get to the ball linebacker. I'm like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna finish the tackle. So
Hmm. And before I get to my next question, I want to mention this, guys. Make sure to follow Ruger Sports Media on all social media platforms, and then also make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Ruger Sports Media channel as well. And we're also on Spotify as well. Um, so yeah, go moving on to the next question, Luke. Is there any player that you like to model your game after?
Peyton Wilson, NC State number 11.
Hmm.
That guy's a dog, and I feel like I look like him a little bit. And he's a little skinnier than I am, but that's okay. And Luke Kuechly too. Deion Jones, he was with the Falcons for a little bit, and then I think he was with Tampa Bay. Um, Fred Warner, that playoff or the Super Bowl game was crazy. So
Hmm.
I feel like I can model my game after those guys a lot.
Yeah, Deion Jones. Obviously, he's from New Orleans. From the same, we're both from New Orleans. He also went to Jesuit High School,
A
right
lot.
down in New Orleans. For anybody from Louisiana watching the podcast right or listening on Spotify, because most of my followers from the state of Louisiana, of course, because that's where I'm based out of. But I just want to mention that real quick. But yeah, but what is your biggest motivator or motivators? Because you might have multiple motivators, of
Mhm.
course.
Um, Definitely now it's proven up to all the hype. Um, you know, it's always going to be the same stuff. I'm always going to work hard. I'm always going to, be, be the guy I am, always work hard, have confidence and all that. But now it's like, okay, I have all these offers, I'm probably going to play in the SEC. I've got to really build up to that, and make my talent prove and be like, oh, wow, that guy is legit, like Caleb, there's no doubt that that kid was gonna, play as a true freshman. He's been a dog, and I don't want to be that guy who's like, wow, he's overrated. I'm gonna put in work every day to make sure that that doesn't happen.
So what has your relationship been like with your coaches from the beginning of your high school career, and how have they helped you with your development over time?
Mhm. Yep, it's been big for sure. Ever since I was 6, I've had great coaching, and I've gotten really lucky. Like, you know, some coaches at 6U, they're like, they're gonna grow and stuff, but like he really showed the form, how to tackle, all that stuff. And it's really a build up from the ground process. So it's been great. These are coaches who don't care about the money. They don't get paid for this. They just want to, make us better people, better men, better football players. So that's been definitely probably the biggest thing for me as a player and helping me get to where I am now.
Yeah, of course. And um, obviously, you're going to your senior year.
Mhm.
The ultimate goal is obviously to win the state championship. Finish your career with 2 state championships on your belt. But because it's your senior year, you're gonna take on a new role.
Mhm.
So what adjustments have you made as a leader going to your senior year?
Mhm. Um, last year my job was kind of just doing my job and staying quiet and, letting Trajan and Cole Mullins, he went to Notre Dame, and all those guys kind of take the lead and take the role. And for me, just was just doing my job. And this year it's, a little bit more responsibilities, just doing my job, but then, teaching others how to do their job also and leading by example. More eyes are going to be on me this year since we've got some people leaving. So it'll really be kind of my responsibility to see where the season's going to go and kind of lead the flock, so to speak.
Yeah, and going off from earlier, obviously you mentioned when you're sophomore playing with all those guys like Caleb. What did you learn from them as when they were seniors that you are kind of what have you learned from them when they were seniors that you're kind of installing into your leadership skills now?
Mm-hmm. You got to lead by example first. That's what you have to do most. But you also have to say get that last rep in. That's not right. We don't do that here, and that's big. And I learned a lot from those guys because we made it so far. There, it was a perfect team, and you also gotta you gotta learn the guys you're playing with. You got to go out to eat with them. You got to learn them. So you got to learn. If you can't break down a dude, if you can, you don't want to just always talk bad if they can't handle that. So you got to find out what your players can handle and kind of make choices from there and try to lead, figure out a way to lead your team from there. And that's kind of what I learned from Caleb and Jamal and all those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I got 2 more questions for you. The first one is obviously you play in the state of Georgia. I think that's been mentioned multiple times now. But how do you describe playing Georgia high school football to the audience right now who may not be familiar with it all that much?
Yeah, so Georgia high school football, it's a big deal. 7A to you're playing against at least 4 D1 guys, I'd say, at least against every week. So it's real easy to get noticed, but it's also real hard to play. And most guys don't play till their junior year, and it's like a different kind of ball around here. We might not have the biggest stadiums like Texas high school football, but the Georgia guys, we work hard and we play really good football, and I think everybody's kind of starting to figure out that. So, yeah.
Oh, I think people have been knowing about that for a long time. I remember my dad. He used to coach at Tulane for a while, from '99 to '06, and the head coach at the time, Chris Selfo, actually came over from Georgia. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, when you're at a school in Louisiana like Tulane or LSU, you make it a priority to recruit Louisiana kids. But Coach Selfo also said, "Hey, we need to hit the state of Georgia like really hard." It's like why
Mm-hmm.
would we need to hit the state of Georgia? It's like, trust me, you have no idea. And there's a lot of players on Tulane that were actually from the state of Georgia. I think right below like Louisiana, Texas, there was a bunch of Georgia players. Actually, the picture right here to my left, the guy who's making the tackle is actually from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Oh
Anthony King.
wow!
Yeah, my dad recruited him out of Stone Mountain,
Wow.
Georgia. So yeah, so he's all 2-time All Conference USA player, player, and led the conference in tackles, the whole 9 yards, stuff like that. But yeah, Georgia's always had talent. It's just, they may not get the coverage that like maybe like a Texas or Florida or California does because they just have bigger populations. But Georgia, it's very similar to Louisiana in terms of like per capita, how many players are playing at the college level, but then also the collegiate level. So I wanted to ask that question. I shouldn't ask it earlier, but I wanted to ask that question because Georgia football is probably one of the best football states around in the country. Definitely in the top 5 for sure.
Yes, sir. Sure.
My last question is, what do you like to do off the football field, like in terms of like hobbies?
Yeah, I have 2 pet ducks, and yeah, they're fun. They like flies around the backyard, and it's super cool. I like fishing. Yeah, I like hanging out with my friends and just hanging out really is fun. And there's like a lot of stuff to do. There's actually a lot of stuff to do in Georgia. So,
Right.
You go putt, like there's so much stuff. The mall is like right up the road, Mall, Georgia. And so it's a fun place. So it's not too hard to have fun out of football here.
Yeah, like how do you have 2 pet ducks, by the way?
Yeah, I don't even like because it's like chickens, but they're just ducks, I guess. I don't know, but they're super cool. And yeah, they're in the backyard just chilling right now. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But what are the names?
Scout and Affleck. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Affleck, yeah. Great name.
Yeah, I bet you haven't heard of that one before, the two ducks thing yet.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. All right. Thanks, Luke, for joining the Recruiting Board podcast. You can follow Luke's Twitter handle is actually right there below his name. If you want to go ahead and follow him on Twitter, his Twitter's been blowing up because obviously he's getting offers from everybody around the country. But I'm Grant Chachere, your host. We'll see you next time.